3. Hey there.
Hello.
This is Crazy John Carrots with OSH Radio. I'm here with Cristina Litvin. Is that the right way to say it?
That is correct.
A lot of times you go by Cristina Empath.
Correct.
And that is something you wanted to discuss today about empaths and being an empath and life on this planet.
That is correct. I am an empath. An empath is somebody who experiences a lot of supernatural phenomena, also known as metaphysics, things that are unexplainable. We also can perceive energies on many different levels that other people can't. And we also can sometimes have supernatural abilities and predict futures. Some empaths can see dead people and talk to dead people, and we are all just a little bit different because as all human beings, we're all unique. But the one thing that I do want to share with the world is that empaths are real. We are not a character out of Hollywood. We are real people that exist here on Earth, and right now we are not part of the global conversation. We are still being oppressed. People are not aware that we exist, and we can't even tell strangers about our experiences because they think we're either crazy or pathological liars.
I think eccentric is a better word. My sister said that, the difference between being poor and crazy and rich and crazy is whether you're crazy or eccentric.
Correct.
But I agree with you a lot. I mean, we were talking for a while now about things that, like I myself might think are normal in life and other people don't. And, I have a hard time myself. We were talking earlier about the concept of atheists and how somebody can totally not believe in something other than a power or a force bigger than us and stuff. And I find it hard to believe that people can honestly say there's nothing. But
well, I believe that we're all here to have our own unique experiences, that if we all did everything the same way and believed in everything the same way, we would be doing a disservice to ourselves and mankind. So
that is true. That's
absolutely accept people who want to not believe in anything, but I'm also here to tell you that there are people who experience things like spirits, ghosts, meeting entities that identify themselves as Jesus, Archangel Michael, power animal bear. These things do happen. We are not a creation of Hollywood. We are real, and it is time for the government and media to acknowledge our existence.
I'm sorry, I work on movies, and I do think it's hard to believe that you can have creation of Hollywood as a sort of that oxymoron like government intelligence, probably. I think they have a hard time creating anything that really isn't there. They just like to make stories of things that are there, to be honest with you.
All right.
So, now you do have a book you've been working on?
That is correct. I have a new book out called Raised by Miracles. Unlike most people who experience paranormal phenomenon, instead of experiencing ghosts and spirits, I have experienced miracles, such as predicting impossible numbers, futures, bringing dead insects back to life, and many, many more stories that are in my book.
Yeah, we talked earlier about synchronicity too. I'm very big on synchronicities. And I will apologize. We're at a coffee shop with this traffic going by, but that just lets everybody know how real this is.
That is correct.
Interesting with synchronicities. I'm dealing right now. I study with Ed Parker Jr. His father was the founder of American Kempo, and he's working on an art that's called Paxil arts, which it's Paxil. It's Pax, not war, as in martial art, and it's Pax after the god of peace, and we talk a lot about synchronicities in life and the reoccurrences of things, and there's a lot of stuff that people don't always realize. And if you look at some of the patterns in life and creation, there's a lot of patterns out there. And of course people say, well, if you want to find a pattern, you can find a pattern. Sometimes it's a lot easier than I think it should be. There's a lot of stuff going on that I don't think everybody wants to admit to.
All right.
And I do think it would be a better world if we all tap into that.
Correct. However, it is my experience that not everybody experiences synchronicity. However, if you want to experience synchronicity, all you have to do is ask whatever you believe in, and you will start experiencing synchronicity, including seeing angel numbers like the angel number 111, 222, 333, and things like that, or numbers that end in 11, like 411, 211. If you ask for these things to manifest into your life, they will. I also don't believe that everything happens for a reason. After I had a spiritual awakening in 2019, and some entities explained to me that sometimes you stub your toe for absolutely no reason. They're not going to waste divine energy to prevent you from stubbing your toe, but you should also not read too much into it. If you are truly in tune, you will know when things happen for your purpose, or when there are signs around you. The kingdom of God is not only within you but also all around you, and that's what synchronicity is. It's the little signs that God will send you, and if you want these signs, you can have them too. All you have to do is ask. But what I'm saying is that synchronicity is not everybody's experience, because once again, we're all here to have different experiences and unique experiences to help mankind evolve.
Yeah, when people say that things, not everything happens for a reason, I always joke that not everything happens for a good reason. I mean,
Correct.
there's things that throw you curveballs, I think, too, and
Oh, sure.
even some of those curveballs that could
Absolutely.
be bad at first could be good in the long run.
Yeah, I was once laid off of a job that I absolutely adored, and I knew at that moment that it just meant that when one door opened, when one door closed, another one opened, and that was so true. But at the time, that little bit of synchronicity, felt like a punishment, but it really was a blessing in disguise, if you will.
Sometimes you're forced to move on from something
Correct.
when it's good for you.
Correct.
And we were, I believe sometimes relationships can be like that too. One relationship comes along to help you with another one.
Absolutely. Every relationship shapes you for the next one, and you learn something, and it makes you a little bit better.
People in your life for different reasons.
Sure.
That's
why it's so crazy to believe that God, the Creator, would want you to marry and settle down with one person for the rest of your life. And if that person turns out to be the wrong pick, and this person is abusive, do you really think that God would want you to stay in that kind of relationship? Absolutely not. Divorce is not a sin, and and you can ask God to help you pick your next one, and you will do a lot better.
I do think it would be nice to be able to find that person that you feel really is your soulmate, and you're locked in. That would be, a great experience.
Unfortunately, not everybody here on Earth has a soulmate. And the reason why only about 10 to 15% of humans have either a soulmate or a twin flame contract. And the reason why that is because once you sign that contract before you're born, you are locked into a relationship with this person, whether you get along or not. When you see people who have been married for a very long time, 30, 40, 50 years, but they're constantly bickering, that is usually a twin flame relationship that is unhealthy. A soulmate relationships are usually established to help people advance. So usually the spouses of doctors or inventors are here to help that person reach their goals. And that's why usually a soulmate or a twin flame contract is signed. But most of us are here and have free will to choose our own partner. And the reason being is because the human personality is so hard to predict that not even the creator of this universe can predict your personality. And so most souls don't sign a contract to get stuck with somebody they may not like for their whole lifetime.
Well, I made the point one time to my one Mormon friend. Mormons are very progressive in
Yes,
the thinking.
they believe a lot. We share a lot of beliefs in common.
And
I love
mentioned
Mormons.
to him we were talking about God and how things happen and why does it happen. And I told him my theory to some extent is I believe everything that's alive is connected.
Correct.
And that's how you have some of these abilities. You can feel and everything because you are connected. But I also said, and I've told you earlier, that I was afraid of going back to the whole, I want to keep my individuality. And where I'm going with this is I think to some extent this is a learning curve for the creator himself.
Absolutely.
And I think the fact is free will and stuff and not knowing exactly is part of the plan. I mean, some people says, well, why does this happen? Why did it happen? Some of it I think is for the creator himself to learn and grow.
Absolutely.
We're like extensions of him put out there for him to learn and grow himself. So it's not just about us growing, but it's about the creator himself growing through us.
So after my spiritual awakening, before my spiritual awakening, I had no spirituality. I was raised in an atheist household. I had, I had a basic belief in a creator, but that was it. And after my spiritual awakening, I was shown that we all have a little piece of the creator inside of us. When this physical experience was first created, the creator itself burst itself into an amount of little particles that we can't understand. And that particle is called your soul or essence. And that lives inside of you. And so we all have a little piece of the Creator inside of us. So when we are having experiences, we are having experiences for the Creator. And that's what I was shown. The reason why we're here on earth is because this being that created us wanted to have physical experiences. And that's why we're here.
So yeah, it goes along exactly with what I was thinking. And which is interesting. Now that I'm sitting here, earlier we talked about Anne Rice. And Anne Rice's concept of the vampire was an old spirit that inhabited the body of the king, the queen of Egypt, and it wanted to experience the physical, it wanted to experience blood and having flesh. That kind of became the obsession with the blood.
Right.
But the whole thing was for it to experience and grow.
Correct.
And when a vampire would bite another vampire, then it would pass on, and it was one spirit divided amongst all of them, actually, as kind of like the same concept, a learning experience for them. And that is an interesting idea. I can see to some extent being happy with that and understanding why things happen, but then sometimes you could also feel like, oh, well, I'm just a learning tool. But
right.
So depending on how your ego goes, you could be offended by that. Now,
see, I trust in the kingdom of God. And after my awakening, I asked whatever guides me to show me what I needed to know in terms of spirituality. And so I trust in what they showed me is semi-accurate. We all hold wrong spiritual beliefs. There is no religion in this world that gets it right. And also after my spiritual awakening, I asked, what it really is the Creator. Is it a white bearded man in the sky? And it was explained to me that what the Creator of this universe truly is something so complex that the human mind cannot process it. And so it doesn't matter what you call it, where you call it God, Allah, source, energy, even flying spaghetti monster. As long as it's done with kindness and good jest and fun, it's all good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we talked about that with some of my friends before about multiple dimensions. And, we are 3 dimensions, 4 at the most to be put in the concept of time. And me and you had discussed earlier that spirit time is different than how we perceive time.
Correct.
But if you have a being that's into different dimensions, I guess science says depicted 13 different dimensions. But if you think of a 2-dimensional creature trying to perceive 3 dimensions, that's beyond their ability. And that's
Correct.
how some of this stuff I think can be for us, and some of the things we do not understand yet. Is you're trying to think of multi-layers that we can't perceive because we can't see in it, we can't perceive it. One of my favorite sayings, I don't know, we talked about Star Trek before, but we talked about good and evil with Captain Kirk and the duality issue. But there's that issue with Thor in his one movie. He says some of the things that you think of as magic, we think of as science. It's
Correct.
science to us. But that's because their understanding is different.
Correct.
And I think that's going to be something that happens to us. That might be the awakening of the human race, is when we find out some of these things we thought were hokey and silly is just a level of science that we don't understand this time, or a level of the universe we don't understand.
And John, what's funny, because I do consider you a starseed just like myself, and that we both, even though we've never met before, hold the same beliefs. And every starseed that I have met, empath or sensitive, whatever you want to call yourselves, we have all been shown and taught the same things. I think that's absolutely extraordinary. I think when people realize that ghosts and spirits and things that are not visible to us really exist, is when the truth will finally set mankind free. And yes, there will be an awakening. Sorry, Ron DeSantis. But we will be awoken, and the truth will set us free once we realize that these things are real and that there's a possibility that there really is a creator out there. And and there are many entities out there that are willing to help, as well as many entities that are willing to do harm. But if you ask for help, and you have to ask because of free will, whether it's Jesus, Krishna, Buddha, whoever, you will be helped.
I do think it's interesting when you perceive. See, here's the trouble too with some of the perceptions, and even the fact that we might be referring to whatever, say, let's use the Star Wars now, the Force, whatever
Right.
the Force may be, even saying creator, we might be trying to put him in a construction
Absolutely.
that is not
Absolutely.
right
Luckily,
also.
the Creator doesn't judge, and it doesn't care whether you worship it, whether you don't worship it, whether you call it Creator, whether you call it
Spaghetti God.
right, flying spaghetti monster. The Creator does not care. The only thing the Creator wants for you is to have the best possible experience in this lifetime that you can possibly have. And if you want help with that, you can ask, your favorite entity for help. It's all about having good energy. We need to increase the frequency and the happiness here on Earth. There's too much division, too many people pointing fingers at each other and judging each other, which is exactly what the dark side wants. Instead, we need to be a little bit more forgiving of each other and kinder and more loving towards each other and help each other, be more cooperative. Every human being is out there trying to cheat each other. We should be forming a band of brothers. And instead we're sitting there, judging what you believe in politically, religiously, sexually. This is not what the Creator wants for us, I promise you.
Interesting. Yeah, it's interesting you said Band of Brothers, but I was thinking about a TV show I just watched, a British show called Eternal Law.
Oh yeah, I've never seen it.
I probably might want to check it. I can't think of where it is. Maybe on Prime. But it's actually lawyers and angels as lawyers.
Ooh.
And they said angels can be different people trying to help people. And they said might even be a lawyer, even though that's hard to believe.
Correct.
But one of the biggest other lawyers in the show is actually, they don't call him the devil, but he's a big fallen angel, which lets you know he is basically the devil. And they call God Mr. Good Mountain or Mr. Good or Good something. They don't call him God. They refer to him though as Mr. Good Hope or something like that.
Right.
But it's an interesting show where they show you the influences on how good and evil are even fighting on that kind of level, and you might not think about it. But it's an interesting show. I'm off on a tangent. I apologize.
Again, after my awakening, when I was asked to see, what was real and what was not in terms of spirituality, my spirit guides showed me that angels can incarnate into mankind, and there are angels that are incarnated into human beings. Most of them will never know that they are, and many of them work in factories, farms, and strangely enough, convenience stores. All jobs that regular human beings don't want to do.
We will not go anywhere with that one. But okay, so now here's a question for you, because I said I wouldn't keep you on here too long right now. But what do you think? People listening to this and inquiring, what do you think their steps should be? What are you hoping that they can get from this, and where do you feel they should progress in life from this?
Well, I am hoping that if they've had any paranormal experience, be it a ghost, a spirit, deja vu moment, a dream that later became reality, a future prediction, knowing that the phone is going to ring or who's calling before it happens. If you've had any of these experiences, share them with your friends and neighbors. Let's make this part of normal reality, because for people like John and I, it's very lonely existing like this, because we can't discuss many of these things with anybody because people think we're either crazy or a pathological liar.
Or some of both. But okay, and now people wanting to reach out. Is there a way to contact you? Or see
Yes,
stuff?
absolutely. So my book, if you want more information about my book, it's available on Amazon and on BarnesandNoble.com. It is my website is raisedbymiracles.com or Cristina23.com, and you can always find me on Facebook under Cristina Empath.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And anything else you'd want to say to anybody in closing today?
Just comfort, love, and light to everybody who's listening. May peace come into your hearts, and may anything that's keeping the divinity from your hearts be dissolved by this message. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and I hope maybe we can come back around and do another interview, maybe after your book's been out a while. We'll see how it goes, or if maybe one of these days that you'll be driven to do a sequel.
Yeah, I am already. I know there will be a sequel, and I'm also working on a couple of other books about helping people improve their lives.
That sounds great. I'd like to come back around and talk to you about those too.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you very much for being with us, and hopefully people will watch this and reach out to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, John.